Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 191 Fear. Necromancers. Upon hearing Cao Ying's cry, Su Chong and the others couldn't help but turn around to look. The former's face was deathly pale as he looked at the four people in the cave with disbelief. Chairman Cao, what are the dead spirit corpse guards? Seeing Cao Ying's expression, Su Chong immediately asked in a deep voice. The four people who had crawled out of the coffin were really strange. What was even more terrifying was that if these four people could release the black key, then the treasure would be gone. Cao Ying regained his senses and took a deep breath. The fat on his fat face trembled, but his voice was still trembling as he said, I have read about it in an ancient book. Some powerful experts whose soul power is different from ordinary people will have strange changes in their bodies after they die. The origin monarch key and soul power that had yet to dissipate would produce a kind of unconscious dead spirit under appropriate conditions. Their mission was to protect the dead. Therefore, they were called undead guards. What was even more terrifying was that these undead guards had the strength of the dead when they were alive. Even if they're not as strong as them, it's about the same. After saying that, Cao Ying looked at the four undead guards in the cave with a bitter smile and said helplessly. Now, there are actually four of them. It seems like it's impossible to obtain the treasure of this emperor cultivation warrior. Su Chong furrowed his brows when he heard this. He had never heard anything about the dead spirit corpse guards. Given his character, he naturally wouldn't believe everything Cao Ying said. His eyes flickered slightly. He looked at the four dead spirit corpse guards in the cave once again. As the latter had been dead for many years, Su Chong naturally wouldn't be able to sense its strength. Therefore, he didn't dare to act rashly. After listening to Cao Ying's words, the few people outside the cave fell silent. Only Lao Zheng's low and painful cry continued to echo. Kai! All of a sudden, the four death spirit corpse guards in the cave moved. Like a silent ghost in the night, they charged towards Su Chong and the others without any sound. Their pale faces were covered with blood-red eyes, making them look exceptionally ferocious. Witnessing the gang key from before, Su Chong and the others were especially wary. They hurriedly perked up their spirits, and the origin monarch key in their bodies surged wildly. As they prepared to fight, they were also prepared to escape. If these four death spirit corpse guards unleashed the gang key from before, they could only run away when the opportunity presented itself. Buzz! A death spirit corpse guard pounced towards Su Chong. The latter's expression became serious, and with a flip of his wrist, a dark green longsword appeared in his hand. The hilt of the longsword was engraved with a mysterious pattern, and the entire longsword looked extremely ancient and grand. Returning to the sword, Su Chong did not dare to be careless in the face of an unknown strength of the death spirit corpse guard. He unleashed the spirit weapon monarch skill the moment he attacked. All the origin monarch key on his body surged wildly and poured into the longsword in his hand. Numerous dark green gaseous lines surged out from it. They were like substance like gang key as they smashed towards the charging death spirit corpse guard. Swoosh! The eyes of the undead guards that pounced on Chen Rong turned red. Its stiff body was unusually agile at this moment. Both of its palms were pushed out and in an instant, several streams of stellar energy shot out from its body, whistling towards Chen Rong. Witnessing the power of the gang key from before, Chen Rong broke out in a cold sweat. His body flashed, but his shoulder was still hit by a wave of gang ki. The expected broken arm did not happen. Chen Rong only felt a pain on his shoulder. Although the defensive armor formed by the origin monarch key had been broken, and the clothes on his shoulder had been cut open, compared to the previous stellar energy, the attack of this undead corpse guard was clearly much weaker. Chen Rong was delighted. His fear of the undead corpse guard had been reduced by a lot. If he only had this kind of strength, he might still be able to defeat it. The spirit weapon monarch skill and the undead guard's ferocious attacks collided. Su Chong could only feel a tightness in his chest. There was no pressure that he couldn't withstand when he was fighting an emperor cultivation warrior. Thinking of this, Su Chong glanced at Chen Rong who hadn't suffered much damage. A bright light flashed across his eyes, and he let out a light laugh. It seemed like these undead guards had already lost the strength of an emperor cultivation after being corroded for tens of thousands of years. At most, they had the strength of an ordinary monarch emperor. Seeing that Chen Rong and Su Chong were able to withstand the attack of the undead guards, Lao Zhen's hesitant expression became firm. He put Lao Zheng aside, who seemed to have gotten a little better. Then, he moved his body and rushed towards one of the undead guards, his fury soaring to the sky. "Chairman Cao, are you waiting there to watch the show?" After forcing back the undead guards with a single strike, Su Chang's eyes swept across Cao Ying, who was standing still not far away. He couldn't help but snort coldly, and his voice was filled with anger. Although the strength of the 4 undead guards was average, they would definitely be able to kill them one by one in a one-on-one battle. However, this wasn't the time to display his ability to help others. If they were injured in the battle, they would suffer a lot of losses while fighting for the Emperor Cultivation Treasure. Therefore, no one was allowed to stand idly by at this moment. Cao Ying felt anxious when he heard this. The others didn't know about Xiao Yan's existence. He knew it very well, although these 4 undead guards were only Monarch Emperor level warriors. If they were injured, wouldn't that create an opportunity for that guy? Don't think that the 2 of them were working together. If they really reached that stage, even if they were brothers, they wouldn't have the slightest bit of hesitation when they attacked. Although he was complaining in his heart, Cao Ying didn't show it on his face. A hint of determination flashed across his fat face as he reminded the guards behind him. Under Cao Ying's cold gaze, the guard gritted his teeth and rushed forward to help Mu Lin, who was temporarily at a disadvantage among the 4 of them. Cao Ying himself looked around the battlefield and his eyes flashed. He rushed towards Lao Zhen, who had the upper hand. Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat when he heard the sound of intense fighting coming from ahead. He took a few big steps forward and hid behind a huge rock at the corner. He looked at the few people fighting not far away. When he saw who was fighting Su Chong and the others, he couldn't help but let out a surprised sound. He looked at those guys. They obviously didn't belong to normal human beings. Could they be the guardians of the tomb's owner? Since he couldn't figure it out, Xiao Yan might as well stay here and watch the show. After watching for a while, he couldn't help but shake his head. Although those strange fellows were very powerful, they were still able to withstand the cold attacks of Su Chong and the others. They could only lean against the wall. Lao Zheng, who had lost an arm, looked like the last mechanism of the tomb's owner didn't seem to work either. Boom! Mu Lin couldn't help but sneer as he sent the dead spirit corpse guard flying with a single palm strike. He thought that these guys were very powerful, but it seemed like they were only at the early Monarch Emperor, and didn't know how to use the Origin Monarch key. They only knew how to rely on their physical strength and the stellar energy in their bodies. As long as they were careful, it wouldn't be too difficult to deal with them. The eyes of the undead guards that were sent flying by Mu Lin's palm turned red as they expressionlessly looked at Mu Lin. All of a sudden, their bodies moved, and their incorporeal bodies flickered with an undetectable red light as they once again charged toward Mu Lin. Mu Lin coldly harumphed. The Origin Monarch key on his right palm surged and a fierce aura was formed. With the help of Li Zhu and Cao Ying's guard, it didn't take much effort to deal with this undead corpse guard. Kai! Mu Lin's brows suddenly raised the moment his right palm was about to strike the undead guard. His eyes suddenly turned to look at the red cracks on the former's incorporeal body that were like a spider web that crazily spread all over his body. Immediately, a sense of fear instantly emerged from the bottom of his heart. It was too late to dodge. Mu Lin's expression turned serious. He stretched out his hands and grabbed Li Zhu and Cao Ying's guards beside him. Before the 2 of them could react, Mu Lin threw a punch at the approaching undead guards. Boom! After Li Zhu and Mu Lin touched the undead corpse guard's body, the dense red cracks on the latter's body suddenly shook. In the next moment, an ear-splitting explosion resounded in the underground cave, causing the surrounding walls to shake violently for a moment. Large boulders fell from the top of their heads, as if they were about to collapse. Before Li Zhu and Mu Lin could make a sound, the corpse guards had already turned into ashes. The huge impact caused Mu Lin's chest to feel stuffy, and he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying, violently crashing into the wall beside him. He actually self-detonated. Upon seeing the scene just now, the few people who had reacted immediately felt shocked in their hearts. Their eyes began to have a dense fear. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.